Our- Thank you, Mary, for being our greeter. Marty, our mic runner. Thank you, Marty. And the audio, we have Kaiser Kelly. Thank you so much. And yeah, we have a crew that comes in here early each week and sets up. This morning, I noticed always Michael McLaughlin. Thank you. Bob was here. Jerry's here. Linda is here. I just want to thank you all for being here so early in the morning and getting this place ready for breakfast. Did I miss anyone? Let's see. Thank you. And now it's time to welcome guests and visitors. I would like to introduce my host for the day. Good morning.
I'd like to introduce Mariah Coleman from Chamber of Commerce, who is our presenter.
Good morning, Mariah.
So Diana, I didn't want that, this mic needs to get really close, we need to speak loud. I think we have a dying mic, one of Marty has.
The one Marty has. This one I can speak loud into too. Yes, okay.
A little louder, that's okay.
All right, thank you. Sometimes I forget that too, but thank you, Terry. I've got a strange thing on the side of my thing that says apps. I don't know what that is. Something's been added, so we'll live with it for now. That my computer's a surprise to me almost every morning. Okay, it's time here to mute all and start recording. And David Mark Raymond has a birthday on January 15th. Are you there, David? Can we hear David?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh,
Hello.
okay. What are you up to?
Well, I've been pretty busy. Mostly for this birthday, I'm going to take Susan down to Berkeley and we're going to go to a reception, an artist reception for botanical artists at the Berkeley Botanical Gardens Museum. So that's pretty good, huh?
That's great. That sounds like my kind of thing too. I love plants, so enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, who did we miss? Oh my gosh, we missed. Okay.
Greg Alexander from Laguna High School principal. It's our guest here.
Thank you and welcome, Greg. Okay, Rotary anniversary, 10 years. Wow, 2011. Charlie, what keeps you coming here?
Hang on, I'm coming.
You sure about that?
Well, that's what it said at the district.
I guess it must be right, although it sure doesn't feel like it. I keep coming back, to answer your question, I keep coming back for the people. And when I decided I wanted to stop working, it was kind of important that I just keep in touch with the human race. And I really like to hang out with committed, smart people. And I found this group that I joined in. They meet every Wednesday morning across the street from Safeway. And it's really a good group. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, and time does go fast when you're having fun, doesn't it? I'm glad you're here. And thank you for all you do for keeping us connected with our Zoom audience. Okay, David, you sent me a picture of a gathering of Ukrainian families. Could you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. There are that was a gathering of the people who support them and people from Ukraine. And in that picture at the far back, there's a family of 4. And they just arrived and are living in Dale Doherty's house on Pillow Road off of Pleasant Hill Road. So we just got together to celebrate, greet, and help them with their orientation. By the way, our Sarah met with the young high schooler and took him to an Interact meeting on Monday. So she's helping him to get settled in, make friends.
That's terrific. Thank you, Sarah. You are just amazing to me. All the things you do. Thank you. And thank you, David. You are amazing as well with all your work with the Ukrainian families. You've really made a difference in the world. Okay, we have a craft talk from Linton Hale.
Some of you might have heard of WordPress, and now it's running 43% of the internet. And other things like Squarespace and Wix and Joomla and Drupal are running 2% or less. But I think it's not obvious. No. So I've been trying to think about why. And I think it might be because the business model incorporates service and profit, which you might recognize as something related to Rotary. And so we have to, I'm going to do this because
Well, it's right up here.
oh, I see.
Did you make any code?
Let's get it out. So, okay, so I thought we were going to go to browser. Basically, I don't know if any of you have heard of W3 text. It's a this mouse thing. Oh, you can do it like this.
Yeah, you can, it's.
Need a little text support here. So it's like- So W3 text is a group that statistics from the internet. Okay. So you can see on here, this is something that talks about the top 10 million sites, and WordPress is running 43% of the content management systems. So then the next question is, what's a content management system? It's a website. Boy, you think I know how to use computers. Yeah, really. Really. Okay. The site was actually really nice. It's just the link I'm having trouble with. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it was amazing to me that it's actually running that much of the internet. So WordPress is a free content management system, which basically means it's software for creating and managing content of a website. And there's core software that allows you to upload images and text and basically creates the website design. But there's also more than 60,000 free add-ons now. So what's the mission of WordPress? they call it to democratize publishing, which sounds kind of like this little glib statement, but the founder of Matt Mullenweg, one of the founders, says WordPress is by and large free for use, and then there are premium upgrades you can buy, but we don't see that as a strong funnel. We don't see every free user as an opportunity to sell them something. We really embrace the free aspect because one of the purposes of WordPress is to democratize publishing for the world. And once again, okay. So the Rotary mission, we talk about two statements. One is service above self, and one is that one profits most who serves best. So the philosophy of serving the public good and allowing for extensions that can be sold at a profit are kind of like that, you know, and the plugins or the add-ons that are most profitable are the extensions, the ones that serve the most people's needs for free. Like there's one called WooCommerce that serves more than 5 million online stores. And basically the free version does everything you need for most online stores. If you want something fancy, like hooking it up to a calendar or having very complicated automatic shipping calculations or something, then you pay for a premium. But the fact that most people get something for free that meets their needs, I think is the reason why it's successful. And I wanted to leave it open to discussion because I wasn't sure if it was okay to say, you know, service and profit, you know, using that. So any questions or anybody have any comments? I know, Jim, you know the difference. People hand code things, but it's hard to hand code 60,000 free add-ons, you know. And I didn't used to use it. I used to use other things that were more popular. But in the last 4 or 5 years, it's gone from 28% of the internet to 43%. Anybody have thoughts?
With WordPress, you showed a whole list of software earlier there. How many are these all free softwares that you're showing here?
No, the one from Adobe Systems isn't, Shopify, Wix, Squarespace. The other 3 that are most popular here near the top, those are things you have to pay for a monthly fee. And they are really great software, all 3 of those. And Joomla and Drupal are free like WordPress, but they were built more by and for developers, so they're just not as friendly. And Shopify and Wix and Squarespace, they're great at what they do. They can't do everything. WordPress is open source, which means you can get into the code and people can write extensions to it. And I think that also the whole open source community has this philosophy of giving, you know, everyone can share and make changes.
Are there full books published on WordPress?
Oh yeah, there's huge websites published on WordPress. Redwood Credit Union uses WordPress. Gosh, what, you know, some major folks. I think New York Times uses it for some of their stuff. I should have a list of popular.
My daughter was a web developer for Seattle Times.
Seattle Times, can they use it? Whole newspaper. Wow. Right.
Yes, so different question. What got you into this? What made you passionate about this? And what legacy would you like to leave?
Well, I like to teach about it and I like to empower places. I work on a website. I created a website as a volunteer for Global Offsite Care and also our local Grange. And I actually was working with the Sonoma West Medical Foundation. And that's how I met Gail Thompson, and she invited me to be part of this. So, you know, WordPress conferences are like $40 for the whole weekend because they're run by volunteers. And I like that aspect of it. I find that I get work, same thing in service profit. If I'm generous with people and I teach them about how to use it, like I'm teaching through the Chimera Makerspace. And the Makerspace whole, that kind of community I've been involved with, you know, intentional communities since I went to, when I was at Brown, they had the Brown Association of Community Housing, Cooperative Housing. There was a bunch of hippies living in an old Victorian, and we were our own slumlords, I like to say. But I also, I helped start the first co-housing community in Oakland where we were actually the first limited equity housing condominiums in the city of Oakland, worked with the Northern California Land Trust. So I guess I like that aspect of it most. Sometimes it can be kind of drudgery, you know, the troubleshooting and trying to figure out which one of 17 plugins to use. But a legacy, gosh. I don't know, just to more websites, I guess, you know, make things easier to use, be part of that community. You know, people all over the world are using WordPress, and because it's free, it's much more available. Yes. Oh.
I look more as was what language is it written in?
Well, of course, it generates HTML. It uses PHP to talk to the databases, which are MySQL, and now people do JavaScript, so you can make like immediate changes to pages without having to refresh. So that's basically it. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Is it used mainly for web pages, or are there other applications you can use WordPress? It's mainly a web application, then HTML web application. Okay, that's very interesting. He showed me something that surprised me. This 25 years ago, I used a program called Arachnophilia, Love of Spiders, for making a website, which was fun, but it's still out there. That shocked me. He found it.
But it's running, see, all these ones are running 0.1% or less, and arachnophobia is the
Right. Arachnophilia, it was love.
not fierce, but
Okay, you got me back to my presentation? Thank you. Okay, do we have any announcements? Do we have any announcements today? Ah,
Well, Scott, and Lincoln is, every week, and his wife had, he's still recovering from, COVID.
oh, you mean, yeah, Scott Hensey and Susan have both been ill, yeah, well,
Back to work. So, and
okay, well, yeah, I talked to him this last week, yeah, he's said he'd be here as soon as he was better.
Getting back to work, I saw it.
yeah, sure.
Oh, did he? Okay, well,
Joe said,
You go ahead.
oh, I don't go because I heard Joe should be back, he's changing his day, so he'll be back regularly on Wednesdays.
great, that is wonderful news. Another one.
Oh, of course you do, John.
Well, the education community took a big loss on December 15th. Anybody who ever had Dave Goldberg as a teacher in this community knows that he was one of the most passionate, incredible, energetic teachers that this county has ever seen. He died of pancreatic cancer on December 15th, and his celebration of life will be this Sunday in the Annalee Gym at 2 o'clock. The things get started at 3 o'clock. 2 o'clock is a meet and greet. So I would invite anybody who has been connected to the education community at all. He was a teacher here at Annalee for some 30 years, and his daughter is currently my principal at Annalee. So it goes deep, and he was my physics teacher, and it was an incredible set of memories from him in his class. And he's far more than a teacher, but an incredible person.
Thank you. Okay. And Monday, we are having our board meeting, and all are welcome to join. And then there's the post office. There'll be a landscaping effort on the 21st. On the 25th is Redwood Empire Food Bank for volunteers. Let's see. Now, next week, it looks like we have Patrick Loach, the Matas Systems.
Close enough.
Close enough, thank you. And we're going to start just a few minutes early today because Myra is going to have to leave here at 20 after, so I want to give her a few extra minutes here.
Great. This is the second time that Mariah Vogt has spoken with us. Previously, she ran a group, a nonprofit called Shoes for Kids, and she talked with us about that effort. She is new. She's the new executive director of the Chamber of Commerce in town. And Mariah, why don't you come on up here? I'm going to have you introduce yourself with a little background and that sort of thing, and then we'll go in.
Hello, I'm Mariah. A lot of people mistake it for Myra because of the spelling. I understand. So a little background on me. I did come here, I think maybe 6 years ago and spoke about Shoes for Kids. I'll give you a little background about me, though. I'm from Healdsburg. I'm in the Healdsburg High School Athletic Hall of Fame. I got deeply into sports in high school and ended up going to Cal Poly San Sebastopol on a basketball scholarship. After college, I spent my 20s traveling, living in large cities around the world. I lived in London, Barcelona, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and a not so large city in Mexico, Playa del Carmen, if you're familiar with Yucatan. I came to Sebastopol after I had my children. They were 4 and 3 when we moved here in 2009. And they're now 17 and 16. They went through Sebastopol Union School District, started at Castle Preschool, Parkside, Brookhaven, and now they're a junior and sophomore at Annalee. And they're straight A students, I must add, doing really well. I served on the Sebastopol Union School District Board until last month. I did 4 years, and serving on a school board during COVID was quite an experience. So more about my background with Shoes for Kids. I spoke with some of you about it when I began the program. This was 7 years ago that I started when I was teaching PE at the Reach School. I worked for several schools, actually. I taught basketball at Twin Hills, Brookhaven, soccer at Summerfield Waldorf School. So I kind of made the rounds with the schools. And when I was at the Reach School, a lot of my PE students didn't have proper footwear. And I started a GoFundMe on Facebook. And the GoFundMe just kind of it just snowballed in a positive way. And I ended up, now we're 2022, handing out over 7,000 pairs of shoes in 7 years. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So over 200 in the last 6 months went to Ukraine and Poland. I worked with Sebastopol World Friends and loaded suitcases with shoes. And several families traveled with shoes from my house that I loaded into suitcases. And I actually got to see the pictures of these Ukrainian children wearing the shoes that I put in the suitcase. So that was really special to me. Another piece of background information, my podcast. So I started a podcast 4 years ago. The president of my board of directors of Shoes for Kids is Jerry Robinson. Are you familiar with the football player from Sonoma County? Anyone know Jerry? He went to Cardinal Newman. He's in the UCLA Hall of Fame. He was a Raider and an Eagle. And he attended one of my fundraisers actually at the Grange and approached me at the end of the fundraiser and said, "Hey, I love what you're doing, kid. You know, can I be involved?" And so he became the president of the Shoes for Kids board. And we decided to start a podcast together 4 years ago because we thought the news was incredibly negative and we wanted to do something positive for the world. And we actually did 100 episodes of our podcast called People Doing Good. And we have listeners still all over the world. There's a little map you can, the tech person, Simplecast, you can get on this demographic page and see where people are listening. And they're listening all over, which is really cool. So those are some things I offered to the community prior to my new position. I happened to be at an event at Ives Park and I saw Linda Collins, and Linda Collins actually hired me as her personal trainer about 7 years ago. So I got to know her through the community after that. And she was Brian. She was at an event at Ives Park that was hosted by Relaunch Sebastopol, and she was at her little chamber booth. And I just went and chatted with her and said, "How you doing?" She's like, "I'm actually retiring." And I said, wow, you've done such good work for the community. Who's taken over for you at the chamber? And she said, I don't know yet, And I wasn't even thinking about myself at that moment. And I walked away, and about 5 minutes later, I thought, wait a second, I think that would be a really good position for me. So I turned around, went back to Linda, and I said, hey, do you think I could do that job at the chamber? And she said, yeah, I do. So I went home and I got online and I looked at the Chamber of Commerce website, and I looked at the board of directors, and Brian's one of them. And every single person on that board was someone that I knew and respected in the community. And I thought, wow, what an opportunity to get to work with these people and have a positive effect on Sebastopol. So I interviewed for the position and I got it. So this was in September. And since I started my position, the Chamber of Commerce got more new members in the last 4 months than they did in 2021, the entire year. So I basically hit the streets immediately and just started talking to business owners and community members and getting their feedback on what the chamber has done for them in the past, what they'd like the chamber to do for them in the future. And the business owners really appreciated me walking in and talking to them as human beings. And I've found that that's been a successful approach in terms of getting this community to come together. I did my research and I found that there are several organizations, the Sebastopol Downtown Association, Relaunch Sebastopol, the Barlow. There are a lot of gaps that need to be bridged. And that's one of my goals, is to get everyone to come together and work together. So I did a Halloween event, and my intention was to come out of the gates as the chamber director, as someone who wanted to work with these other organizations and groups. So I did an event with Relaunch, the Downtown Association, and the Barlow and the chamber all combined, throwing a community event. We did it at Blue Ridge Kitchen. It was a Halloween kind of dance party. We did a downtown shopping event, the 12 days of shopping, which got a lot of people out shopping in Sebastopol, shopping local. We now have gift cards for local businesses at the chamber for sale, just to encourage local shopping. And a lot of people now, kids, they want gift cards more than they want gifts sometimes. So having the chamber be a place that people stop in and engage and give me feedback. I think that's really important. Learning the history of this community is important in my position now too, because there are a lot of things that are situations in the community that can currently be solved if you understand how they got to be the way that they are. And the history in this community runs deep. And luckily, through Coach's Corner and all of the schools I've worked at, I was at Coach's Corner for 10 years. I got to know so many people in the community, and they're really offering feedback to me and encouraging me in my new position. When I went around town and I was telling people, hey, I'm the new chamber director, I got my little badge. Several of the business owners came around the counter and gave me a hug and were like, oh, we're so glad it's you. And to have that sort of reception is really valuable to me. And I also feel that to have been given this opportunity to help this community and help our business owners is really an honor, and I don't take it lightly. So I'm really grateful to be in this position in the community now. Apple Blossom, I'm really excited about my first Apple Blossom. It's going to be the 77th this year, and my board and I discussed the theme and threw around a few different ideas. And my thought was, if I'm really about bridging gaps, what about stepping outside of Sebastopol and making this about the county, Sonoma County? So our theme this year is Sonoma County Blossoms, and it's a celebration of Sonoma County. And my idea is to take a map of Sonoma County, shrink it down, and plop it into Ives Park. So within Ives Park, as you go through the festival, you can stop in Healdsburg, go over to Windsor, Santa Rosa, we got Forestville, and to have representation from each town, each chamber of commerce or city council to come and represent their piece of Sonoma County in the way they feel best suits them. I think is a good opportunity to come together as a community outside of Sebastopol while we celebrate Sebastopol. So new business, let's see. I think that's where we're at right now. That's all I really have to share. Like I said, any of you who have feedback or about Apple Blossom, about how we can make the community better, stop by the chamber. My door's open. Linda Collins is working with me through Apple Blossom. She was going to retire in December, or December. She was going to be done 2022 and retired 2023. If you know her, she has a hard time retiring. But she'll be with me through Apple Blossom. She's there part-time too. So what I wanted to do was open it up to some questions if you have any. I actually have to be at the police department at 8:30. I was honored to be asked to be on the panel to interview the new police captain. So for 4 hours. Yeah, no, there's, I think there's 4 candidates and 2 of them are coming from out of state, so it'll be intense. But thank you for listening. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
What are the dates for Apple Blossom?
The 29th and 30th of April.
Will it be rain?
Good question.
No, man, it's a good day. So I was on the container report for about 6 years, I think. What do you see really as the biggest challenge facing you now? As you get a new job?
I think.
Great ideas.
Thank you. The disjointedness. I think there are several groups, organizations that all have the same purpose and the same mission, but aren't necessarily working together. And if we can, like I said, I say it a lot, the bridging the gaps, but if we can do that and come together, we'll be more successful. The team mentality is so ingrained in me from my background in sports. And sometimes you don't like someone who's on your team or you don't agree with them, but you still have you still want to win. So if we want to win, we all need to work together. And I also think that the Barlow, there are challenges with the Barlow just based on people have deep feelings one way or another about its existence. But the fact is the Barlow's bringing people to our town right now, and finding a way to embrace that and work together more, I think will make us all more successful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is that all? Hey,
Talk about winning
winning.
in sports. You know
Yeah.
exactly what the goal is. What are your 2 or 3 key objectives? What is winning?
I think winning is, in terms of the perspective of the Chamber of Commerce, the town is a thriving economy, happy families that you're making money in your business, you're able to support your family and pay your rent. Rent's insane, to look at these people who are business owners in this town and they put themselves out there. They've been through COVID. You're dealing with people who, individuals and businesses who have been through trauma and almost lost their livelihood. I know I'm on a tangent, but I think to understand that and for me to creatively find ways to encourage people to take care of it. Think of these businesses not as just, this is the shop over here called the Gypsy Cafe, maybe a bad example. But the person behind it, who started this business. And I think if the chamber can have more mixers, the business owners can get together and get to know each other as human beings, as people. I think that's a game changer. So winning, a happy, thriving economy, happy people. I mean, ultimately it's happiness, but you got to make ends meet and money's involved there, of course.
One of the things that I would suggest you look at is the hole in the wall restaurant is expanding over to where the physical therapy place was. They're going to take over that larger space. That business should be named, or we should put that business in to be named the Hispanic Business of the year. They do a wonderful job. They treat people very nicely. The whole family works there. And so I'd like to see the chamber take a look at that. The other thing, I agree with you on the Barlow. The Barlow brings people here. I don't know that I would have thought that when it was being built, but it does seem to bring people into town that want to visit. And finally, I think one thing that would help is if we solve the issue with fire service and how that's gonna be, the city solve that issue.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. That would be to me more of a city issue than the chamber, but yeah, with regards to the Barlow, people coming to town to go to the Barlow, the challenge and the goal is to get them to take that walk around the corner and come downtown. And I had a meeting or a couple of meetings with Linda Hopkins, and the county is invested in helping to make that happen with a sort of, there are a lot of ideas right now, but a visual, whether it's signs that point to historic downtown Sebastopol, or even somewhat of an actual walking a pathway or a bridge where that hotel's going to be built. So yeah, I did the walk. You physically, with a couple of other local leaders, when you leave the Barlow and you're headed to downtown, you hit that empty lot, and then you hit the plaza that's encouraging a lot of homeless activity right now, unfortunately. And so if I was from out of town, I might just turn around and go back. But we want them to come to downtown. And so finding a way to do that, the empty storefronts, addressing that. And I'm not on the city council, that's not necessarily, that's not my thing, but as a chamber director, I think that I have a responsibility to understand what's happening with those businesses and why a lot of those empty storefronts are owned by people who don't live in this town. They live in LA. They just happen to own a building in a little town, and they don't have that investment in the community. So to contact them and talk to them and figure out how we can get people in those buildings, because if you want people to come downtown, you're saying you're at the Barlow, let's get you downtown, and they walk a block and then there's empty storefronts. That's not very encouraging. So, you know, hopefully we can get those filled, but that's a bigger picture situation. Yeah.
I'd just like to commend you on the promotional job that you're doing, promoting individual businesses with the Facebook campaign. I think that's great.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm just getting started. I don't have an admin right now, so I'm sort of doing everything. So I'm spread a little thin, but once
there's real value there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too. Thank you. I'll keep doing that. Is that it?
Just one.
Yeah.
Just one more note, as I talked to Jim Corbett, music guy.
Oh, yes.
And a bunch of the Easttown events will go back to Ives Park this year. So that should help the downtown.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim Corbett is also on the board of the chamber, and we're in communication a lot. So we hope so. And also I'm doing I should wrap it up. We did a movie night, and we're going to be doing quarterly movie nights. We found this company called Stellar XP with this amazing mobile LED movie screen. It's 17 by 10. And it's elevated and it's interactive. It's amazing, really. We're going to have it at Apple Blossom, and every quarter we're going to have a movie night in Ives Park. But the Little League was kind enough to offer us the field, so it just so happened to be 37 degrees on our first movie night, and it's outside. So that was a challenge, but it was great. You know, for 37 degrees, it was excellent. Yeah, but the event itself was really well done. The Stellar XP did a great job. The chamber board came together and we really threw a nice little party, but it was freezing. So that hopefully won't happen for our summer movie night. But I'm open to recommendations on which movies we play. We did Elf, which was really fun. The kids and the parents love that movie. So anyway, is that all? I'm going to get to the police department. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mariah. Now we have your name correct. I just want to thank you for being here and okay. Well, enjoy your conversation this morning. That was interesting for you, I'm sure. Okay, and thank you for being here. Oh, well, I'll figure that out later. Okay, well, we're a little early today and we have a drawing, but we don't. What's going on with this? I don't have Scott here to help me. We put some tickets out, but we don't have really much in here. Nobody's, no, and there's a ticket, but only one and no money. What's going on around here? Oh, you have the money. Okay, so there is money. There's quite a little cash there. We might pass this around and see if anybody else wants to buy a ticket.
Well, there's 2 tickets in there.
We can do better than that. I'll go get some money. Terry, could you take this around and kind of see if anybody wants to make another donation? Yeah, this supports the club as well as having hopefully a little bit of fun. But where's my purse?
Okay, $2, 3 for $5. Billy, you said you bought tickets. Really? Thank you.
You never know, we might get a pretty good pot going looking at this. Oh, where are they? I've got to grab the roast.
I forgot to mention that on that movie night, the concessions were sold by the Interactive, so they're always doing something. And actually, I guess next month is the credit feed, so they'll be there.
Okay, thank you, Bob. All right. So this pot helps support our club as well. So there's one more thing going on. Let's see how much. Oh, I have a little time. I have some pins here, and they are from International for our Jennifer. And I don't know if everybody received one. I've been bringing them in. Is anybody here lacking a Rotary pin? Well, you can put the pin on. You do it permanently, don't you? But you can have one of these. Do you have a pin on? Are you wearing one? We're supposed to be wearing pins here. I'm not going to fine people for it. How about, we have a lot of people with no pins. What's going on here? But you need to have it on you. The whole object of having our pins is to advertise ourselves when we're out and about. So was that's not fair, you mean?
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Okay, Marty, here you go. You don't get it in.
I think we have one.
You have a pin, and you have one on your badge too. That doesn't count. You know, I could go back to the old way and just fine people, but I don't like fining people. So anybody, look at this club. I've been really lax, haven't I? Okay. I'm not going back to finding people, but I may start asking people who don't have their pins to make a donation to the club or the foundation. Here you go. Because it's really important when you go out and about, have your pin on, and you can strike up conversations with people, meet other Rotarians. I know when my husband and I were traveling, especially, we have a pin on and we'd see somebody else with a pin. And we could strike up a conversation and what club are they in and where are they? You meet some interesting people that way. Okay. How are we doing over there now? We should have a pretty good thought by now. Thank you.
Who's the most honest? Really the most honest looking person today. Thank you. And you're winning.
Jim will win now.
Winning ticket is 3797. Hey,
That's the right one.
What color marble are we, right? Winner is.
Okay. So Jerry, what does our pot look like now? Do you have a guesstimate? Whoa. So next week, yeah, buying a ticket to get you some real money.
And win too.
Very good. Thank you, Carrie. Very good. Thank you so much. All right. Dan, do you have a joke for us?
I have a joke. I thought I was the joke of the day. Where's the
Marty,
You're better off yelling.
Okay. So unfortunately, Scott's not here today because I just wanted to chat a little bit about Scott today because many of you might not have seen his former studio where he had so much of his work because he has been a sculptor, an artist, and a model maker, and he's done some fantastic things. Of course, all the Disney characters and characters for Happy Meals and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Toyscope.com. Okay, and see some of his work. So his interests were really wide and varied. But now that he and Dan are mainly focused on the chickens, his interests are really eccentric.
Pretty good. And I did talk to Scott this last week and he will be back soon, hopefully. And he didn't get to do his entire presentation for his craft talk, which I'm looking forward to in the future, which will be very, very good. Well, yeah, I have 5 minutes left. What am I going to do? I'm going to tell you again, ask you again, please start wearing your Rotary pins to the meetings. I'm going to start having pin checks, but I'm not going to fine you. I'm going to ask you to donate and donate either to our club foundation or the international foundation. So it's important. And we are going to be doing some foundation discussion further in the future, aren't we? Okay, very good. Well, I'm going to wrap up just a couple minutes early. I hope you don't mind unless somebody else has something to say here for me. You're good? Okay, Jerry, what's up?
Got 2 pieces of mail of this week. One of them with our $500 environmental grant from District 5130. That's part of our district grant. A little add-on, and Dan might want to say about that. So one of the projects we did in December was we provided a picnic table
and a bunch of gardening tools for the chart garden, which is part of the educational system for students with special needs in the 18 to 22 year range. Myself and Bob Feeser, Peter Holbrook from Santa Rosa Sunrise went over, helped have the students put the table together. They never used hatchet wrenches and things like that. And we went over to Sebastopol Hardware and got them a whole bunch of tools for the garden project, and Sebastopol Hardware is doing a large amount of tools as well. They ended up with over $1,000 worth of tools. But since it had an environmental aspect, a vocational aspect, a service youth aspect, we decided, let's go ahead and apply for the $500 district grant as part of the funds that we expended for that. So we leveraged the money and that's some of the money that goes from your Rotary dues to district, comes back to us so that we can do more good work in the community. Thanks for the good news, Jerry.
We also got a very nice thank you letter from the Redwood Empire Food Bank for the collection of $1,588.68. I think you did in front of the grocery store. And just for information, they distribute food for 24 million meals annually in this area. And they got over 300 distribution sites in high need areas each month. And so the money you raise is going to be filtered all through that. So thank you all for the work you did.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is a terrific club. I am so proud to be part of it when I see everything we do. I am just really pleased with this group. They are some exciting, vital, I don't know what else to say, members that get out there in the community and make a difference. But thank you so very much for being here. Okay, I'll ring the bell after. Happy trails.